sunny Australia, two American tourists, Greg and Heather, showed up at a pier, super excited for a cage diving tour with sharks. The guy selling tickets, Dave, tried to scare them with a wild story about a shark eating some college kids' groin last trip. But Greg and Heather just rolled their eyes. Right on cue, their tour guide, Tucker, a rugged dude with a twinkle in his eye, walked up. He asked if anyone knew they were there. When they admitted no one did, Tucker playfully ribbed them for being so sneaky. They all hopped on Tucker's boat. As they cruised, Tucker spun yarns about all the times he almost became shark bait, even showing off a gnarly scar his crew. Turns out he'd been swimming with sharks since he was a tiny tot. When they hit the perfect spot, Tucker started tossing Chum into the water, basically ringing the dinner bell for sharks. Heather, already a nervous wreck, shrieked when a fin sliced through the water. "No, not doing this," she declared. Tucker, trying to calm her, suggested meditating. Then, to her total shock, belted out the Baby Shark song. She was stunned at first, then burst out laughing, totally chilling out. Greg and Heather climbed into the cage, surrounded by a swirling mass of sharks. Heather freaked out again at all those teeth, but Greg quickly comforted her, and they actually started to admire the wild beauty of these big fish. Moments later, back on the boat, Heather was stoked about the whole thing. Then, out of nowhere, Tucker pulled out a knife, stabbed Greg, and tossed him into the ocean. Heather's screams were deafening. The next day, Zephyr, an American surfer, was shredding waves at the beach. Later, at the grocery store, she heard a guy named Moses asking for jumper cables, but they were sold out. He turned to Zephyr, asking if she had any, but she played dumb. She paid for her cheap Slurpee, then, with a little smirk, revealed she'd stolen a tub of ice cream by hiding it in the cup. Sneaky. As she headed to her van, Moses popped up again, threatening to spill the beans about her ice cream heist if she didn't give him a ride. Zephyr, not thrilled, agreed. During the drive, Moses wouldn't shut up, which totally annoyed Zephyr, so she told him to zip it. When they finally found his car, Zephyr noticed his surfboards, and they started chatting about their shared love for surfing. Zephyr realized he wasn't so bad after all. Moses confessed he wouldn't have actually snitched. They jump-started his car with her van, and the radio blasted to life, revealing they both liked the same music too. That night, things got a little spicy in Zephyr's van, parked outside Moses' house. As a joke, Moses tossed her fin key out the window. After their fun, they chatted, learning more about each other. A bit later, Moses went inside to make breakfast, but when he came back out, the van was gone. Meanwhile, Zephyr was at the beach, ready to surf, but realized she'd forgotten her fin key. She looked in the nearest truck for one and got a fright when the owner, Tucker, appeared. He gave her an extra key and complimented her for being brave enough to surf alone at night. After Tucker left, Zephyr got a message from Moses asking why she'd bounced. She told him she wanted to catch the early waves, but when he asked to join her, she hesitated. Suddenly, a bag was thrown over Zephyr's head. She fought back, but Tucker held on tight until she passed out. He gave her a shot, tossed her in the back of his truck, taped her mouth shut, and hid her in a surfboard case. Then, he drove to the pier, where Dave's dog wouldn't stop growling at him. Tucker carried Zephyr to his boat and locked her up. Hours later, Moses showed up at the beach looking for Zephyr. He found her abandoned van and tried calling her, but her phone was still inside. Meanwhile, Zephyr woke up, handcuffed to a bed in a small room with Heather and a bucket for a potty. She screamed for help, but the only one who heard her was Tucker, who seemed to enjoy the noise while he ate breakfast. On the wall, Zephyr saw another name carved, meaning Tucker had been doing this for a while. She desperately searched for something to pick the lock, but there was nothing. Heather explained no one would be looking for her, and Zephyr admitted she was in the same boat. Back with Moses, he was on his way to work when he saw Zephyr's van being towed. He immediately went to the police, explaining that the van was Zephyr's home, so it was super weird that she just left it. The cop asked for Zephyr's full name, but Moses didn't know it, so they couldn't file a report. On the boat, Heather was crying, saying she'd never see her mom again. She admitted she should have listened to her mom, who didn't want her to take a gap year. Zephyr shared her own tough past, growing up in foster homes and coming to Australia to escape, even spending time in juvie. To lighten the mood, Zephyr told a joke, and Heather actually laughed. Right then, Zephyr noticed the underwire in Heather's bikini top and asked for it. Heather took off her top and tossed it open. Zephyr managed to get the wire out, but before she could pick the handcuff lock, Tucker walked in, offering them a sandwich and water. He sat way too close to Zephyr, creepy crawly talking about predators in the water. He even tasted Zephyr's sweat before leaving. Ugh. Zephyr threw the top back to Heather and got back to work on the lock, but she started feeling dizzy and dropped the wire. Heather passed out. Looks like Tucker put something in the water. Tucker came back, grabbed the underwire, and then Zephyr passed out too. Moments later, Zephyr woke up, handcuffed to a chair on the deck. Tucker was busy setting up a camera and lights. Heather was there too, tied to a crane chain. Tucker, with a creepy smile, said, "God isn't in heaven. He's down there in the sea." He said he'd seen Zephyr surf before and thought she looked alive and spiritual, which is how his twisted hobby made him feel. After cutting some of Heather's hair, weird, right? Tucker woke her up. She panicked. He started rambling about how amazing sharks are and griping about myths and stories as he started the crane. Heather was left dangling over the water. Tucker slowly lowered her, leaving half her body out.